What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another Fall Obsession podcast episode. My name is Sam Thrash, and I'm your show host over here at Fall Obsession. Thanks for tuning into another episode. Derek Eaves from Ridge Rock Hunt Company and Small Town Properties is my guest this week on the show. Good friend of mine. We've known each other for several years now. He's been on our show before, but it's been a minute, and he's had a lot of awesome stuff happen in his life and is doing some new great things in the hunting and outdoor world. So this episode is me getting to catch up with him, getting to talk with him about hunting, the outdoors, and everything he's got going on. So hope you guys enjoy this conversation. His brand, Ridge Rock Hunt Company, is one of our podcast partners. He books hunts with vet outfitters across the country. So if you are looking for that next adventure, perhaps that once in a lifetime hunt, whatever it might be, give him a call, hit him up. He'll work with you on all the details to find something that works for you. Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Derek Eaves is the man. Go check him out. Hoot Camo is one of our flagship podcast partners. I started rocking some Hoot Camo gear last year, hunted in Colorado and in Texas with it in a ton of different environments, in the snow even. Can't say enough about the quality of the gear, the warmth of the gear, the functionality of the patterns. Hoot has just absolutely knocked it out of the park. They are a great brand. They're great guys to work with, and hope you guys will go check them out at hootcamo.com. They have more than just hunting gear. They also have fishing gear, everyday casual wear, even some golf gear. So go check out what they got to offer over there. Best part about it is they try to structure their prices so that they are affordable to the blue collar guy if you are looking to get into a good quality set of camo. We know how much good quality camo and gear can cost, and Hoot is trying to make that affordable for everybody. So go check them out. And if you use the code FALLOBSESSION15, that will save you guys some money at checkout. Elite Archery is another Fall Obsession partner. I am loving my Elite bow. I have been for several years now, been shooting them for a long time. Can't say enough about them. And I could sit here and talk to you all day about how great my Elite is, but what is going to convince you or kind of get your pique your interest, whatnot, is going to be if you actually go out and shoot one for yourself. So go to your local dealer, take the Elite Shootability Challenge, and see what you think. You won't be disappointed. The Outdoor Call Radio app is another podcast partner. Outdoors Dan from Respect the Game TV. He has created an app that you can download on any device where you can stream hunting shows and podcasts on a loop every single day. You will catch Fall Obsession podcast playing on that loop on Mondays. That's the same day as our new publications, as well as tons of other hunting shows and podcasts that we all know and love. So go download the Outdoor Call Radio app today. It is free and you can start streaming immediately. And go follow Outdoors Dan on social media. He does some live radio show broadcasts a couple times a week. And even if you're not local to those Midwestern radio stations, you can catch those live broadcasts shared on his Facebook page. So go follow and download the Outdoor Call Radio app and follow Outdoors Dan. All right, guys, I kept it short and sweet this time because I can't wait for you guys to tune in as I catch up with my good friend Derek Eaves. You guys are listening to another Fall Obsession podcast.
Oh, you got her, dude. She's down.
Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another Fall Obsession podcast. My name is Sam, hosting you guys, and I'm back on here for the first time in a while with a good buddy of mine, Mr. Derek Eaves from Mississippi. Welcome back to the show, man.
Yeah, glad to be here. It has been a minute.
Yeah, it has, man. I was trying to think back to the last time we recorded, and I think it was when we talked about that alligator trip that you did a while back. I think that might have been the last time that we podcasted together, but that was a hoot.
Yeah, that was a hoot. I still
man.
have to get. I still have that alligator head in my freezer, by the way.
Oh, you do? No kidding.
Yeah, I'm supposed to send it off, and about every time I open my pantry in there, that I got all the supplies to wrap it up and ship it out. And I was like, man, I need to get that alligator head, and I'm on to something else, and you know how it goes.
How long do you have on something like that? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, it's he's gonna take the hide off the head and everything.
Okay.
So it'll be a skull deal. and it's been in the freezer, so it should be fine.
Yeah,
so,
it'd be fine. I didn't know if you were doing something else with it, but yeah, awesome.
No, he's gonna put like a Ridge Rock logo in the skull of it.
Oh, that'd be cool. I've seen those.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Maybe I'll do it this week.
Finally get around to it. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years later.
Yeah. Well, man, to that point though, I mean, you've been busy. We were just talking about that briefly just a second ago before we hit record, but you've had some changes and a lot of stuff going on in your world, and I want to catch up with you. I want to see what's new over there in your neck of the woods, and talk about some of the stuff you're doing with small town and all that kind of stuff. So update our folks on where you're at in life.
Yeah, man. I was studying. So I guess last September when I was in Montana, I got a call from small town and saying they were going to have an office close by that I could kind of link up with, because you had in Mississippi you have to be so far from your broker to be able to work under that umbrella.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started studying about September, and I mean I had a full-time job at Fair Oil Company, and I was doing the Ridge Rock, and it's really busy in the fall. And the spring, but this was in the fall. But
yeah,
and so man, I was literally from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, I was either working, studying, ridge rocking, doing the backwoods stuff. I mean, it was a lot. But I had a goal in my head that I was doing it all online, but I had a goal in my head. I wanted to finish it by January the 1, and I finished it by December the 26th, I think, or maybe it was the 24th. Anyway. I think it was December 27th, actually. But anyway, got my real estate license and quit working at Fair. I guess the Fair Oil Company. I was a sales manager there for 8 years with my good friend Johnny Fair, and they were really good to me, very understanding, and said, "Hey, you're doing what you need to do because that's your passion, and that's where you need to be in the outdoors." So January 9th was my last day at Fair Oil Company, and I am full-time small town hunting properties and real estate, Ridge Rock, and backwoods premium wildlife products. I do a lot of stuff for them as well. So,
gotcha. And now,
and I'm still, from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, I'm really working right now. So
yeah,
it's been good. It's been fun.
Now, as far as the real estate things goes, for folks that might not be familiar with what small town is and everything, familiarize us with kind of y'all's niche.
Well, we primarily focus on land sales, so recreational properties, investments, things of that nature. Then some of the acreage that we were, selling is anywhere from 10 acres to 800 acres. Just whatever comes our way, and whatever we can, promote and get sold. That's what we do. Now we do some houses. I actually have a lake house in Carroll County, Mississippi. That's a beautiful place. Close to $400,000 deal. But anyway, so and those buyers are a little bit few and far between here in Mississippi. You probably got a lot more buyers for that in the Texas area. But anyway, so yeah, just mainly recreational hunting land. And of course, I love checking out new properties, and that's a lot of fun. But on the flip side of that is going to look at land. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate, the thing that you need to know is about 10 to 15% of your time is going to be spent looking at land.
Yeah.
Anything that you have a license for in the state, I mean, there's a lot of requirements and a lot of rules and those kind of things and paperwork. But anyway, it lined up perfectly with my Ridge Rock stuff because, I could pretty much do that from anywhere, and I can do that from anywhere with small town as well, just as far as where I am in the country at different times, because we do go on hunts and stuff. But
yeah.
But anyway, so that's what we do at small town hunting properties. And Michael Oswald and Adam Hester, Brett Boykin, the small town hunting TV guys, they all kind of created the small town hunting properties through the small town, with the whole small town name from the small town hunting TV guys, and they're all friends and stuff. And I've done a lot of work with Cody with Elite Archery. He kind of got me linked up with them to do some ambassador stuff for them, the backwoods stuff, and it just, he saw the work that I've done. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am a hustler and I do work hard.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's how we kind of got all that lined up with the small town stuff.
Awesome. Very cool. What I know you got Ridge Rock and you're a passionate outdoorsman and passionate about hunting and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
what made you interested specifically in real estate and all that kind of stuff? Is it just the opportunity to work in that realm, or?
Yeah, I just felt like the skill set that I've had and the training that I've had over the years, and the good Lord has given me a lot of abilities that I've, continually try to hone in on and get better at. But it was just, like I said, I've been doing stuff with backwoods for a while, and then I've had the Ridge Rock stuff going for a little over 2 years. I was with another company for 3 years prior to that, booking hunts. And so anyway, I just, it's just one of those deals where Lacey and I talked about it and prayed about it and just said, hey, it would be cool to be able to get everything kind of lined up in the same sector. So anyway, that's what I did. So I just, I felt like I would have a lot more freedom, and I do have more freedom doing the real estate because I am my own boss. But there again, man, I mean, I'm grinding. I think I've probably spent $3,000 in marketing over the last 3 months. Just trying to get your name out there and everything. But
Yeah,
I just think the reason I wanted to do it just because I wanted to be my own boss, and I wanted to be outdoors. So
yeah, that's
and I
awesome,
like
man.
talking to people, and it's just like if you think about Ridge Rock and when I send people on hunts and everything, the greatest joy of that, we've talked about this before, but the greatest joy of that is when somebody calls and says, man, that hunt was awesome, and that gets me fired up. Same thing for somebody that's looking for some, a property that fits what they're looking for. They get it and they're like, man, this is awesome. It was a great experience. We appreciate all the help, so, I'm all about the customer service and just wanted to, try something different. And I'm 49 years old, so this isn't, I'm kind of late in the career with getting into it, but like I said, it's been good. I've sold 4 properties already, which is, first year is pretty good. And I've got a few other properties kind of in the works, and I've got a few more listed. So it's just, got to keep grinding. That's all I
Yeah.
know.
So, as far as your area specifically, because to your point, you're always working, you're always hustling, and like I follow you and Ridge Rock and your small town efforts and everything on social media and stuff, and it's like every time I log on, man, it's Derek's got another listing or posting a video about another property, whatever it might be. So I
Yeah.
see the work that you put in, and you're constantly going. I guess I didn't realize there was that big of a market in Mississippi, or are you just covering that much? Are you just covering a broad area, or how's that
Well,
work?
most of the properties that I've listed and sold have been relatively close to me. I'd say
Okay.
within an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So it just, the hunting side of everything, if you have good property with good animals on it, whether it be deer, turkey, those are kind of the main 2 here in Mississippi. But if you have good deer and good turkey and a nice piece of property that's turnkey, turnkey is the big thing now, that people
Yeah.
just want to be able to jump on the property and start hunting as opposed to having to get a bunch of work to it. But we have properties that aren't turnkey as well, but of course they're priced a little bit differently than the ones that are turnkey. So, but yeah, there is need in Mississippi, and generally this time of year, from my understanding, I'm still relatively new to the market, but this time of year is generally slow. But as July, August starts kind of creeping up, then things will start getting a lot more busy. And you have a lot of guys too that end up wanting to do a 1031 exchange, to where they're selling something and want to turn it into something, into another property, so they don't have to pay taxes and so on and so forth, get tax breaks and everything. So, yeah, I anticipate a busy fall
Absolutely.
with
So
Ridge Rock and Ball Town,
oh
and with
yeah,
the backwood stuff that I do. It's of course it's rolling out pretty good for summer plots, mineral sites, and things of that nature. But come about September, like in Mississippi, and I don't know how it is in Texas, but in Mississippi, as soon as the opening weekend of dove season is over, it is full throttle hunting, getting ready for hunting and feeding and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's very similar here for sure. It's like the opening day of dove just signifies that start of fall hunting season for everybody. It doesn't matter what you're going after and everything. And which I imagine it's probably similar where you're at, but where I'm at, it's like, golly, it's still 100 degrees outside and we're out here,
Yeah.
hunting dove and everything. But
Right.
yeah, it definitely, has that stamp of fall hunting attached to it. No doubt
Yeah.
about that. And
Oh yeah.
and you get a lot of guys that start getting out there and start filling their feeders or doing their stuff. And some of us are just like, man, we've been doing this for months already. There's
Yeah.
some guys that for whatever reason they don't do anything until September 1, and then all their efforts come after that, which I mean, teach their own, but
Right. Well, you see my videos. You see I'm about before turkey season started, I put out a bunch of mineral sites, and then as soon as turkey season was over, I just went out back and filled the feeders up and got those running again, and seeing some pretty good bone growing on the heads of some
awesome.
we're excited about it. Matter of fact, I have one that I think his body. I can tell he's a mature deer. And anyway, and I told Lacey, I said, yes, that deer is mine. And I made a post about it. And anyway, so Lacey commented on my post, because being funny, said, can't wait to meet him in October. And I was we were actually sitting in the room together. And I looked at my phone. I was like, that's my deer. That's not your deer. He said, I beg to differ. Lacey's kind of feisty, and we have a good time together, so we have a lot of fun. But anyway, so she says that's her deer, but we're gonna see.
Yeah,
we're gonna see. So, but anyway, no, it's fun, man. I get about 10 cameras, cell cams running, and checking the deer trail cam pics and seeing what's out there, and it's been cool.
That's awesome.
Always, I tell people all the time, I think I almost like to see the trail cam pics more than I even like to hunt nowadays. So, but anyway, it's all fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I mean, cell cams and everything, it just gets sent straight to your phone. Like I have mine set up so that the same time every day. I start, at least in the off season, right? I get all of my pictures sent to me same time. So I'm like waiting for 11 o'clock to roll around because I'm like, oh, it's almost camera time. I'm about to see what's out there, see what's new in the last 24 hours. So
yeah, I may need to do that because I have mine set up on every hour right now, and every hour I'm like, looking at my phone and seeing what's going on.
I switched it over pretty prompt because I had them like when we first set them up. When we very first time we got cell cameras, I was so excited. It was just every time there was a picture, I'm like, no, this ain't gonna work. I can't get off my phone this way. But yeah, I ended up just during the off season, I switch them to once a day, and then during the season, if I know I'm going out there and about to hunt for a little bit, I'll normally switch it to multiple times a day, depending on, kind of what I'm seeing and stuff. Cause it's almost like cheating a little bit. Cause it's like, oh, is that deer there? I know ain't seen him. I'm going to go hunt somewhere else, but at the same time, I want my, my time to be worth the effort. So, I try to set myself up for success with that. But
oh yeah, for sure. I tell you what, it's on the same side as the cell cam saving. I mean, giving you an advantage. Sometimes it's actually a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because I mean, man, there's times where I'm like, I didn't see anything I really liked. I don't think I'm gonna go hunting. But I mean, deer don't always run in front of the camera, run it to the feed. Especially the bigger, more mature bucks and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah. So, and then another time too, he's like, well, I hadn't seen anything on camera I want to hunt. And then all of a sudden, bam, they're there, So,
yeah. No,
I got to get better at just going hunting, So,
yeah. No, it's definitely, there's two sides to it for sure. And I've had this conversation with guys on our show before about it. Cause you're right. You don't always, they don't always walk in front of the camera. You obviously try to set yourself up for success with that, but it doesn't always happen. And, I know the buck that I released an arrow on and unfortunately didn't recover last year. I'd never seen that deer before. He'd never been in front of one of my cameras before. It's just the rut was just starting to ramp up and he came cruising through, and yeah, so hadn't seen him before. And then, I had a really nice 8-point on the south side of our property that was daylighting. Like it was like every other evening, but I knew he was in the area. So, or at least that's when I was getting pictures of him, was about every other evening. And I started driving down to my stand for my afternoon evening hunt. I was driving down about 1:30 or so down the road to get there. And I turn the corner, and this, like, again, rut's ramping up, so the bucks are starting to chase, and that dude is standing in the middle of the road right in front of me. When I make the corner, I'm like, well, I guess he is down here today.
Yeah.
And then the doe runs past it, like down the hill, and so he takes off after her, and I'm like, well, hopefully, like, my truck wasn't that big of a deal. He's looking for love, so I'm gonna go ahead and slip into my stand, but yeah, you never know what you're gonna run into out there, man. Cameras can help you prepare, I guess, or anticipate what you might see, but yeah, it's still hunting. So
it's always something. You still have those surprises.
absolutely. I love them too, man. I love it when you see something walk out and you're like, oh my gosh, where'd that come from?
Who is that?
Yeah. Who is he? Well, so
we like to,
what's that?
I was gonna say, we like to name our deer here in Mississippi, or a lot of people do, so that way we know which one is which, and we can talk about it, and it just part of this anticipation and the story and that kind of stuff. And that's fun to us. Just, hey, Bullwinkle's out, or, we got some with the trail cams that I've been getting here recently. I'm like, yeah, I think that's Bullwinkle, we get the kids involved, and that's a lot of fun too. Matter of fact, they had one of the big deer that we had on camera walk out at 20 yards. My stepson Cole and his girlfriend Lindsay were in a blind, and they hunt some, but when a deer's at 20 yards, you can't whisper. You just have to not say anything. And I think he was trying to kind of coax her along and help her, and like, don't shoot yet, and then he said, all right, shoot him. And I'm sure the deer probably heard him, because he kind of wheeled around and went out in the woods, and he kind of stood there for a little bit like he didn't know what was going on. But anyway, Bullwinkle lived because of a whisper.
Because of a whisper. That's funny, man. Yeah, we've named a few of them and everything, and probably one of the most memorable ones was last year. It was the biggest buck we've ever seen on the property. Like, this deer, he's pushing 160, like just a massive 10-pointer. And Nick, he named him Palmetto, just because of the mass, and his G2s midway up, like, almost looked like they had this palmation to them just a little bit, and
really?
It was he was just a massive buck. So we got really excited over that deer, and then he disappeared. Like right toward the end of October, and we're thinking, oh man, did he move or something like that? And then I checked one of my cameras that's not a cell cam. It's the closest one to camp. It's only 300 yards from camp. And I checked it. I pulled that card and I started going through it, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And like October 29th, there he was, 9 a.m. walking through there. I just texting Nick, like, Palmetto's alive. Like, he's still out here. We were so excited about that deer. He was massive, absolutely massive.
Oh man. Yeah. I didn't see that. I don't think he's ever sent me a picture of him.
I'll text you one, because I got him on my phone. Oh my gosh, he was a stud. But yeah, man, I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not hopeful. Like, we don't have neighbors that hunt super, like, just vigorously or anything like that, but they do hunt a little bit. He was located at a stand that it neighbored the neighbors on the south side is where it was. It was kind of on the south, I guess, we're in the southwest side of our property. And they had just a hay field out there, and they had trees on the other side, and they run cows, but they don't hunt at all. So he had security down there, and he would cut the corner coming through our property. And that's where Nick started getting pictures of him, because Nick's got a stand down there. He started getting pictures of him cutting the corner, like, as soon as, like, before bow season started and into bow season. He's like, dude, look at this deer. And he was consistent down there. Nick's the only one that's seen him in person. He saw him in person twice, almost got a shot at him once before a young buck busted him. And then he disappeared. So we're like, where is he? And then end of October, I find him on my stand that we call a camp stand, because it's so close to camp. And then a couple days after that, Nick gets him on a different stand that's like in the heart of the property. And he starts every now and then showing up down by the hayfield again. So we're like, he's in a triangle, basically. He's working like this broader area and bouncing between. So at first we were like, man, there's no way that one of us doesn't shoot this deer. Like, every
Yeah.
it's like every other day he's at one of these stands. We're gonna eventually it's gonna happen. And he's in daylight too. So we
Oh, boy.
hunted we hunted him, and it was around that mid to late November that the pictures stopped coming in, and that was that. So I'm wondering if one of the neighbors on the family Thanksgiving Day hunt or something might have gotten lucky, but
Yeah.
I don't know. If
Right.
they did, good for them. He's a stud.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, for sure. Now we had some good bucks last year for sure, and kind of ended the season. It felt like a balloon just kind of deflated because we were certain with the amount of bucks we were seeing, one of us was going to kill a mature buck, and then I had my mishap with a deer, and I don't even know if you've heard about that
Mm-mm.
but I had a buck come in, the buck I'd never seen before, and it was a week before my Colorado mule deer hunt that I went on too. So
Yeah.
like I've been practicing like crazy and shooting long distance and stuff. And this dude comes in, I see him coming in the brush to my left. He was silent. Like I'm just sitting there and I look to my left, and 20 yards he's coming through the thick stuff right next to me, kind of angling away from me. And there's a doe like on the backside of the clearing in front of me. I know. I was like, oh my gosh, I got scared. And he's walking away, and I hit him with a snort wheeze, and he stops, kind of looks around, and he just slowly takes a couple more steps. I hit him with one more, and he turns and he starts walking in toward the clearing. I was like, he's looking, he's not going to stay, but he's coming to look. So I'm getting my
Yeah.
bow ready, I'm getting set up, and he walks out backside of the clearing, and I get a good look at him, and I'm like, I've never seen this buck. He was a heavy 8 point. Like I've never seen this buck, but I'm flinging an arrow at this jogger. He's a shooter.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he's standing broadside at a mound that I had ranged previously, and I knew it was at 35 yards. And I'm right there, but the doe's looking at me. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I can't draw. So finally she turns her head, but by then he was like, all right, there's nothing here. I'm done. And he's turning and walking back the way he came. And I had to, like, I range everything when I get in the stand, right? And,
Yeah.
get as much as I can. And there was no time, like he's going away, and I draw back and stop him. And when I stop him, he's quartering away. He looks right at me. I don't have time to range. I'm like 45, because I've ranged that path in a tree he's close to before, 45. And I shoot. And man, it was one of those things, like the second you release an arrow, you know that it's not right,
Yeah.
And as soon as I release that arrow and that arrow's flying through the air, I'm like, it's going to hit high. It's going to hit high. And I'm just in that microsecond, I'm just praying that please go over his back. Please go over his back. Cause I know the shot's going to be high. And I hear that smack and I'm like, oh, no way. And he takes off, hit no man's land. And I ranged the spot he was standing after the fact, and he was at 41, and he ducked a little bit too. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So I got a blood dog now. I put the dog on him. We worked the dog for several hours and everything. We found a couple drops of blood, but no deer. And about a month later, he's in the background, but I have a deer that has the same frame that he did back on camera in the same place. And I'm optimistic that it's him. At least that's what I keep telling myself. I'm about 90% sure, but we'll see if a deer with a big scar on his back shows up next year or something. But it's one of those sickening feelings, man. It happens to all of us, and it happened to me last year. And that was the balloon that deflated, because that was my chance at a buck. And luckily I went to Colorado and redeemed myself. But
you did.
Yeah, it was frustrating for sure.
Yeah, I shot one like that a few years ago. I think we talked about it in the previous episode, but Blade,
Yeah, I remember Blade.
And, man, I still, knuckles still dragging about that one. So yeah. I know the pain. I know the pain.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I still beat myself up about it, but I mean, is what
I tell you too, and what I've noticed for myself, and in situations like that, you draw back and you get all amped up and get a little extra pull on it too, So I've had that happen a few times, especially if you miss the first time and it gives you a second shot. I mean, I might as well aim just about at the ground, because I'm gonna have that thing pulled tight. It's gonna be rolling when it leaves the bow. For sure.
Oh man.
I've done that on turkeys a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, what about you? Like I mentioned at the very beginning, it's been a while since we got on here and caught up. What was last deer season like for you?
Man, honestly, it's probably gonna be very disappointing, but I literally went deer hunting in Mississippi 8 times last year just because I was so busy studying for real estate and just so much stuff going on. I mean, I would either have to make a decision of, am I going to go hunt today, or am I going to finish this section of real estate studying today? And like I said, my brain was January 1. So I was like, I sacrificed a lot of time for the deer woods, at least here in Mississippi. I did go to we went antelope hunting southeastern. I spent a lot of time in Montana the month of September.
Yeah.
With antelope hunting the last week of August, and Lacey got her one. I shot one. Didn't find him until a couple days later, but was still able to retrieve him. Unfortunately, the meat wasn't any good at that point. But and it's pretty good meat too. But anyway, so we did that, and then me and a buddy of mine went to Malta, Montana for a spot and salt mule deer hunt. And Malta's up on the pretty close to the Canadian border. Beautiful country. Anything out west is just you kill something, it's just gravy on top kind of deal to me. But it was hot first 3 days, 4 days there, and then the last day and a half it cooled down considerably, and we saw a lot of bucks. Made a lot of moves, and just couldn't make it happen. So basically up there, just a little terrain deal. It's almost like mesas with cut canyons in it.
Yeah.
And those deer lay in the side of those cut canyons. And I mean, you really have to have a keen eye to pick them off, even if they're just laid up on some rock or something, because they just all blend in so well. So,
yeah.
But no, that was one of my favorite hunts. We walked about 7 miles a day. But it was a lot of fun. My buddy Jim Kent came pretty close to getting a shot at one. We saw one kind of in the canyon, and my guy Nick was with him, where we actually were hunting together. And Nick told him, "All right, draw your bow." And anyway, so instead of just standing there, because any animal, you make a bunch of movement and they're like, okay, I need to run.
Yeah.
And especially for the muleys, if you just kind of very slowly and that kind of stuff. And anyway, my buddy Jim knelt down to the ground, got his arrow, and then stood back up. And when he stood back up, it took off. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then and actually, I'm going back up there September the 18th through 24th or something like that this year. For another spot and stalk stuff in Montana. Same guy. It was just super cool experience.
Yeah.
Cool little bed and breakfast that you stay in. His mother cooks like home cooked meals. She washes your clothes. I mean, the whole deal. It's you leave there and she's like your second mother kind of deal.
Yeah.
But and then we left there and went to I came back to Mississippi, and then I flew back to West Yellowstone for an elk hunt with the same guy. And man, it was hot weather. The bulls were not cooperating. I mean, it was just not favorable conditions. And matter of fact, one of the places that we had heard some bulls on the afternoon before, we went in that next morning in the dark. And of course, they're grizzly up there too. So that has a little bit of a different element to the hunt, because you just don't ever know what you may stumble upon and what may happen because of it. But
yeah.
But anyway, so we went in the dark and got up to a point, and I mean, I was glad I'd been working out and doing a whole bunch of stuff to get my legs under me, because it was pretty tough terrain, just up and down, side hilling, and mainly the up. That's always the worst part. But I think one time we walked downhill for probably a mile, and that's tough on the knees too, because there's no exercise that you can do for that. But anyway, all that to get to, we saw a moose come through, and they were in the rut, and so that was super cool to see the moose coming through, and those things are giants.
Yeah.
And then but we eased on up on top of the mountain because we hadn't heard anything, and my guy Nick says, "Hey, you smell that elk urine?" And I was like, "I do." And he's like, "They may just be being quiet." I was like, "All right." So we take about 10 more steps, and it is fresh wolf sign. So the wolves had moved through, and I mean, their paws were the size of your hand. I mean, just big. I didn't ever see one, but I mean, they marked their territory very well where we were at. And whenever you're in on an elk hunt and the wolves move through, obviously the animals get real quiet, or either they move on, and a lot of times they call it dead forest. So, but we did get on. We had 3 bulls at one place that we ran out of daylight, and then we had another bull that was probably about a 330-inch bull that was on another ridge, and we were calling to him. And of course, whenever we're going in, the wind was at our face. And by the time I get to where I need to be, about the time the wind shifts and it's hitting me right on the back of the neck, I was like, well, this isn't going to last long.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they got out of there and went up the other ridge. And but anyway, it was a lot of fun, man. It was good experience, good people, and good friends on the hunts that I went on. You know, so it was a matter of fact, on that hunt, one of my Kansas outfitters went with me on that, and we had a good time. It was tough hunting, but it was fun. Had a lot of memories from that trip.
Yeah. No, I hear you with that, man. It's you know, the kill, like I think you said it, you know, it's like the final, you know, cherry on top, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. Cause it's just the memories you make and the people you're with, you know, being in the outdoors, that's what matters. And that's what makes a good experience, in my opinion, you know. And everybody wants to fill a tag, but at the end of the day, as long as you're enjoying it, and you know, that's what matters. So
oh yeah, and you know, I tell people all the time, you know, it's, of course, the hunts that I book are very high opportunity, you know, and that's because I know that people want to harvest an animal when they go on hunts. But on the flip side of it, man, you know, so many people get focused on the actual kill, you know, and that just takes away a lot from the hunt. And I had to learn that myself, because I'm booking hunts, and you know, when I started booking hunts, and even until last year, because I told Lacey, I was like, you know what, I feel like I'm putting too much pressure on myself, and it's, you know, it's starting to become not as fun I'm not enjoying it as much as I was, because I felt like I had to do something, because Derek had to be behind a buck, behind an antelope, behind whatever the case may be, and I still like to do those things, but you know, I had to kind of reel myself in and say, hey, you're healthy enough to go, you can go, and you get to go, and you get to experience all these different places that you know, that a lot of folks would just dream to be able to go, you know. And so I just, you know, me personally, man, I just had to step back and say, hey, I'm just glad to be here, you know. So now my philosophy is, I'm going on vacation, and I'm going to be hunting on vacation, and if I get something great, if not, I'm still gonna have a good time. So I don't let it get me down if I don't kill something, but you know, because that's part of it, especially, you know, with that bow in your hand, your odds are already diminished. So
no,
but it is, now don't get me wrong, it is really fun when you connect, as you can see, you've probably seen from some of my videos how excited I get.
I'm right there with you, man. Like, I had that mule deer hunt last year. I'd never hunted mule deer before in my life, and I'm trying to do it in rifle country with a bow, spot and stalk. And I mean, everybody has that dream, right, of shooting just this massive mule deer or whatever. Of course, you know, one day I'd love to, for sure, but like the first stalk I had out there was on a little forky, because I told the guys out there, I was like, I realize the disadvantage I'm at, and I'm not taking any opportunity for granted. I'm going after anything. And the buck that I ended up killing, like, he had some cool character. Like, he grew his G3s on both sides twice. Like, I mean, he was a cool looking buck, but he's still, you know, he's not a massive mule deer by any means. He's a 120-inch, you know, muley. But for me, with, you know, an hour and a half stalk, crawling through, you know, the CRP on my hands and knees, you know, inching in on this buck, for me, that was a 200-inch mule deer. You know, you couldn't take that away from me. Like, it's just that, and that's what matters. Like, that's what we get excited about, and that's that kind of thing's special. So
it really is. Well, that's good, man. I tell you, I was pumped up when I saw you got him, and But yeah, it's just like it's the memories that you make, whether you're by yourself or with someone. I mean, that is 1,000%. That's what we need to hunt for, is for the memories. Because when I started doing this book and hunt stuff, my dad told me, he's 84 now, and he said, "Hey," when I started doing it, he said, "Hey, go while you can, because one day you won't be able to." So so I try to take advantage of that. And as I get older, my back hurts about every single day of my life. And, I started working out the other day, and I was doing some kettlebell hip thrust, where you pick it up and it goes between your legs, you squat down. And, the next day I told Lacey, I said, I think I did something to my hip. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's all about the memories, man. It's all about the memories. If you can do it with someone, that's even better, for them to enjoy it with you and to be able to tell it, because they have their perspective, you have your perspective. But yeah, anyway, just so many folks, man, just get caught up in the kill.
Yeah,
just go out there and enjoy it, man. You're doing things that a lot of people wish they could.
Yeah. So. No, I think back, like, throughout my life and everything, and obviously we all have memorable hunts, memorable kills that we look back on, but equally as, just vivid in my mind, just right there front and center are, the memories with people, hunts that we have gone on with guys from our Fall Obsession team, hunts growing up, even from when I was a little kid with my dad, and he got me into it and everything. I remember my first deer, my first buck and everything, but I also remember my dad being there with me, and his excitement. And I remember years back getting to, take him on a hunt with an outfitter in, Central Texas and everything, and getting him on a nice buck, and that kind of stuff's cool. I remember the deer, yeah, but I remember time spent with him and folks like that way more, I feel like. So.
Oh yeah. I tell you a funny story, man. We'd gone to Texas. Well, for turkey, I went to Florida, Texas, Kansas, and Missouri this year. But my buddy, we had dropped my bow on the last turkey that I got in Texas, and I didn't think anything about it. Got back to Mississippi, had a bunch of real estate stuff to catch up on, just blowing and going wide open. And you would think that that I would have shot my bow to make sure that it was on, but I didn't. Just got in a hurry. I was like, "Hey, I'm going hunting this morning." Got up, grabbed my bow, went to a place, and messed around with turkeys until probably about 9. And then I was like, all right, well, they're not coming. They're henned up. So I went to another run around the property and ran up on some hens and was coming back. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to ease them back to the house. I got to get to work. Well, about that time, they gobbled right down where they've been gobbling out all morning. So I ran back down there and put my decoy out and got back. And I wasn't in a blind. I just had some good cover with some big trees, and kind of where they were coming from was just a perfect setup. Probably one of the more perfect setups I've ever had, bow hunting from the ground with the turkeys. And so anyway, I was sitting there and I'd called and I just got quiet. And about that time I hear, where they just kind of spit, but they didn't do the whole drum and everything, because they spit when they saw the decoy, and they just came running into the decoy. And they get over the decoy, and I mean, as soon as they get there, I draw back, shoot an arrow, shot up under. I was like, crap. So they're sitting there kind of like, what's going on? I grab another arrow, put it in there, draw back, still standing there, missed again. And I was like, crap. So I put another arrow. They went up the hill then, and then they came back to the decoy, because, I would call to them. They came back to the decoy, and I was sitting there and had a arrow, and I drew back, shot, and missed again.
Oh, man.
Anyway, I shot my 5th arrow. I had 5 arrows in my quiver. I shot my 5th arrow. They went up the hill, came back to the decoy again. I'm sitting there with no arrows, and then they're gobbling, and they go back up the hill and gobble again. And I literally, all I could do was laugh. But the point of that story is, I will never forget that.
No.
But yeah, I will never forget that hunt. And anyway, I told a bunch of buddies that about that story. They got a big kick out of it. But yeah, so I'm sitting there with an empty quiver and turkey standing at 20 yards, and I never cut a feather. So went home and shot my bow, and it was about 8 inches short and about 5 inches left. So
yeah,
that explained it.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that's one of those things. It only happens one time, and it should be nailed in your brain at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. My buddy's like, were you a rookie or something? Or you always shoot your bow. I'm like, I know. Just get busy. So
Which elite you running?
have the ethos.
Ethos.
Man. Yeah. I love, like, I had the Ritual 33. I guess that was probably the first elite that I had, and I loved that bow. So it just seems to me like a 33-inch axle to axle. Of course, that one's kind of has a more of a feel of a 35-inch axle to axle, which I've had one of those with Elite too. But but man, that thing just holds so good. I told Larry, I was like, man, I really don't think I'm gonna run any stabilizers on it, because I mean it just holds so
Really?
good. Just yes. But now, I'm 6'2" and I have a 29.5-inch draw with my thumb button, Scott Sigma, and but it's I love that bow. I love it a lot.
I
still
one
have
coming.
the Omnia, and I still have the Era. The Era's a good bow, and that's the one I turkey hunted with. That's really what I got it for. And actually, I got it to put a decap head on it this year. But there again, I was just busy and just didn't have time to do it. And I don't work on my own bows. I don't know how to do all that stuff. I just shoot them. I actually have a bench, a press back here that I got 4 years ago that I still haven't done anything with. But I got a good guy over in Columbus that does all my stuff for me. But yeah, the Ethos, whew, I love that thing. It's my favorite bow. Like I said, I love the Ritual 33. And I knew when I got that thing in and shot it, it's super quiet. I mean, I got they have the new Defy arrow rests. CBE's got the new, and that thing is quiet.
Really?
I've been running QADs forever.
Yeah.
And Larry's like, hey, you need to try this Defy or whatever. And so I put it on there, and it's like when it drops, but it doesn't slap. So yeah, I mean, I shot it and I was like, holy crap, that thing is quiet. So
I might have to check that out, because same. I've run QADs for as long as I've been a bow hunter. So I've never really looked at anything else, just because for me I've always run them clean. They always drop out of the way. They hold down everything, and I've never had an issue with contact or anything. But I might have to look at that.
Yeah, the Omnia was kind of a little bit of a louder bow, but man, that thing's quick.
Man, that's one thing. Like, so I have an Ethos on the way right now, and I've been running the Omnia last year, and I ran the Cure before that. And I remember pulling the Omnia out of the box, and I was like, this thing just, like, in my hand just feels like it's wound up tight and ready to rip one a million miles an hour. Like, it just has that poised feel to it, man. And I shot the first couple times, I was like, holy crap, these things are smoking.
Rolling.
And it was a change, definitely, especially coming from the Cure, but it was a good change. Like, I enjoyed it. I like the bow a lot, but I've heard nothing but good things about the Ethos. I'm excited to get that one in my hand too. It's funny too, because the first elite that I ever shot was also the Ritual 33.
Really?
Yeah. And actually I held on to that bow until this year, this past season actually. I let a buddy shoot it for a little bit, and then I got it back, and I always debate, like, should I keep one, or should I keep more than one? How many bows do I really need? And then my wife's like, how many bows do you need? So you got that battle. But I ended up and he actually listens to the show, so he's gonna laugh when he hears it. But a buddy of mine named Josh, he was looking to get into bow hunting with a compound. And I was like, man, I'll fix you up. Like, I can help you out with that. And I felt like it was a good opportunity for somebody to get back into that ritual that was gonna, benefit from it and be able to shoot it and get into a nice, comfortable bow, to get things going and everything. And so we got him rigged up with it, and he's loving it. So it was bittersweet. Like, I love the bow, and I was sad to see it go, but at the same time I was like, I'm running these other ones, and I don't want it sitting here collecting dust. Somebody needs to be shooting it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. I really liked the Omnia too. Matter of fact, it was the mule deer hunt. there's a lot of grouse out there.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'd been telling, I was like, I'm going to kill one with a bow while I'm out here, you know. Well, there was one perched up at 50 yards up on a little rock. And so my outfitter Nick, my buddy Jim, they're like, all right, here's your chance. And they actually videoed it. But they're kind of like nonchalant. It's like, all right, 49, 50 for you. Give it a go. You know, they had zero confidence in me whatsoever. And I let that thing go, and I hit it right in the neck. And that thing hit the ground, and they were just like, ah! Yeah, it just exploded. I told him, I said, that's probably my greatest shot of all time with a bow.
Yeah, couldn't do that again if I tried.
A little bit of luck, a lot of work, you know, a lot of planting, a lot of getting prepared, but a lot of luck too. So
Yeah, no, I'll play that off. I make that shot all the time. What are you talking about?
yeah, I was aiming right where I hit him.
Yeah, man. What kind of preparation do you do? And I'm speaking pretty generally here, but before the season, like as far as the distances that you shoot and what's your routine to get wound up and ready?
Well, I probably shoot my bow twice a week, sometimes once a week, kind of depending on the weather and all that kind of good stuff. But I do a lot of exercising in the backyard, and so what I'll do is, you know, I'll get out there and do lunges, squats, like I said, kettlebell stuff, get the heart rate up, and I try to get my heart rate up to about 160. And so after my heart rate's up, then I'll have my bow station kind of set up with an arrow in it. And so I'll walk right up there to my bow or run up to my bow or whatever, grab my bow, draw back and shoot, just because, I mean, you know, when an animal, it's different shooting a target versus shooting a live animal, as anybody that's watching this, listening to this knows. So you want to, so my philosophy is mimic that as much as possible in preparation for the final preparations, especially for going on a trip or just hunting in the backyard or whatever the case may be. Then whenever the animal comes out and your heart is going from 60 beats per minute to 100 beats per minute, just, you know, like that, then, you know, you've sent some arrows down range with an accelerated heart rate.
Yeah, you know what it feels like.
Yep. But in my backyard, I can shoot out to about 84 yards. So I'm not doing that now. Right now, I'm just kind of working on form, and you know, probably about 30 yards is about all I'm shooting right now. Just trying to pick a spot and pull, pick a spot, you know, pull. So anyway, but yeah, I'll start stretching it out a little bit, especially before I go to Montana, because, you know, those can be some far shots.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the antelope that I shot in Montana last year was at 75 yards. I wasn't even going to hunt because I was just going to video Lacey and let's just kind of spend time together, because I've gotten a couple pretty good goats out there. And anyway, first morning, Lacey and I went out and saw some goats. She didn't get a shot. Came back to the camp, and the guy was like, came in and goes, man, there's a giant goat in the alfalfa fields. I said, I think you can probably, you know, get behind the rows and sneak, you know, crawl up in there and get a shot at him. He's probably going to be about 80 yards. And I was like, all right, I do that all the time in the backyard, you know. And so get up there, and the goat actually was 85 yards. And then whenever I stood up, because I had to stand up, and so he got a little curious, because he could only see about that much of my head.
Yeah.
So he got a little curious and started walking to me. And at 75 yards, I put my pin back on 75, and my broadhead shoot a yard short, so I should have put it on 76. But man, I hit that sucker right where his heart would have been. At 30 yards, it'd have been toast. You know, would have watched him fall over. But in the heat of the moment, I didn't. And so I put it on 75, and I should have put it on 76, because that would have probably got me another, you know, 5-6 inches at that distance.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so he got away, and he bled good, but I mean, it went in right where his heart would have been on the right side, but it came out right low brisket kind of stuff, you know. So I just missed it by a little bit.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
awesome,
so
man.
I get out there and crank it out a little bit, and I just need to make sure that in the heat of the moment, I remember to, you know, if it's a yard short, you got to get, if it's 75, I got to go 76. So
Yeah. You run a single pin?
No, actually I run 5 pins. I have the new gosh, I can't think of what that is. It's a CBE V3.
Yeah,
It's got
the
the vertical
Trek,
pin.
yeah, the Trek Pro V3 or V2.
Yeah.
They got different options. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have that one, and it's it's got 2 pins on it, and then there's like a bottom pin. But like I said, I haven't. I just been, like I said, working on my shot process and making sure everything's tight there. But it's so anyway, I haven't toyed with it to see about how it does in longer ranges. So it's a little bit different for me because I've been shooting horizontal pins, and these are vertical, which is you have the pin and then you have the little bit of black in between the next pin.
Yeah.
But it just visually, it just is taking me a little bit to kind of, it's different,
It is different, man. So I made that switch this last year because I was shooting that Engage hybrid, same as you, the 5-pin with the slide and everything. Loved it. And Larry talked me into the Trek Pro 2V with the 2 pins on the vertical stack, and then the 2 indicators for it on the tape, and yeah, it's just like a single pin, but you got 2 of them instead, and the range, your shot window between the 2 pins changes, as the distance changes. And I'm like, this is a lot to think about, man. Like that was my first thought. I'm like, this is a lot to think about. And so when I first built my bow, when I built my Omnia last year, I did not put that sight on there. I put my Engage, and the sight was sitting on my desk in my office. And every time I walk in there, I'd look at it and be like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I get a little curious, and then finally one day I just got a wild hair. I was like, you know what? I'm putting it on there. This other one's sighted in already. If I don't like it, I'll just take it off, like just put it back on, and I'd be right where I left off. But I'm gonna try it. So I rigged it up and got it on there and everything, and it took some getting used to for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm getting used to it. I'm leaning that way, and I think I like it. There's still a question mark there, but it's definitely cleaner. Like I like how clean it is on the inside, and I just got to get more comfortable with it. I was definitely treating it like a single pin when I was on that mule deer stalk and everything. Like I was 100%, like I would range and be like, okay, this is where we're at. And I wasn't really paying that second pin a whole lot of mind. I was 100% treating it like a single pin on that hunt.
Yeah. And single pins are nice, but yeah, it's just different, and I'm getting used to it. But when I kind of stretch it out a little bit, I'll start having a better idea, and I probably need to start doing that because you start changing up both sites, and then you got a bunch of errors you're fixing to send through there to get it dialed in. It's a little bit that goes into it, but in the end, it's worth it. So
yeah, the part that still makes me uneasy, I guess, is just there's that distance between the two. Your pin gap in between, and at a shorter distance. And I don't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head, but like if you got that top pin at 20 yards, your bottom one might be down at like 27 or 28. So you got an 8-yard pin gap, which is okay. It's you would have a 20 and 30 otherwise, right? But you start dropping that down to those longer shots, 60, 70, 80 yards, and now all of a sudden your pin gap is 12, 15, 17 yards on that tape. And you're like, man, that's a lot of room for error. Like I know I can, like maybe it'll save me in the long run having to adjust, and let me get a shot off longer range that I might not get to otherwise. But that's a big gap, man. And that's what makes me still uneasy about it. So
oh yeah. Well, it does make sense because generally if you don't hit the animal you're trying to shoot from the first one, they're generally going to go a little bit further away from you for the second shot.
Exactly.
So that's that's the part that I do like about that site. And I just, like I said, I just got to get out there and shoot it more, get a little more comfortable with it. And like I said, stretch it out a little bit and see what it does. It was what was the other site? I don't have my bows in here. I actually had to hang them up because Lacey said they were putting them on the bed. But I think it was I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, I had to go back and look. But it did the same thing. It your top pin and your bottom pin had different yardages on it. What if you turned it down to 30, then the bottom pin was at 50. That kind of deal. So So anyway, yeah, they make good stuff, and I like shooting CBs. So
Oh yeah, I love them, man.
more practice. Yeah, we all need practice.
Absolutely. Can never practice too much.
Nope.
Well, man, how many? I know we're getting close to our time here on the show and everything, but I wanted to ask you just real quick before we wrap it up on Ridge Rock. How many outfitters you have in your network right now, and if somebody wants to book, how can they get a hold of you?
I have about 65 outfitters that I work with, and they're the places that I have been personally or a buddy I trust has been to. But as far as somebody want to get up with me, my cell phone number is the best thing to do. It's 662-803-2001. Of course, I have Ridge Rock Hunt Company on Instagram, on Facebook. So that'd probably be the best ways to get up with me. I have a hunt inquiry also that's very handy. So you could go to my website, which is www.ridgerockhuntcompany.com, and you can fill out the hunt inquiry and then kind of tell me what you're looking for. And I put your email and your phone number. And so generally what I do is I email somebody back, and then I shoot them a text message, and then we jump on a call, because it's just a lot easier to get on the phone and discuss stuff. You know, I get a lot of guys that say, "What dates do you have available?" Well, and that's great, and that's fine, but it'd be probably it'd be easier for me to say, "What dates can you go?" Because then it kind of hones down on, because that's what the whole realm. But what I try to do is just hone in on what you're looking for, what dates, what kind of animals, that kind of stuff, and then try to fit it in there and how you want to harvest one and everything. So
yeah,
yep,
awesome, man.
Yeah, turkey season was very busy this year.
Yeah,
very busy. I think I've sent 100 contracts so far this year.
Wow.
So, and a lot of those are multiple hunters, 2, 3, 4, that kind of deal. So it's been good. No complaints. I got a lot of great outfitters that I work with. I mean, it's still hunting, so I mean, I can't control the weather. I can't control how well you can shoot your bow. How ability to be still, ability to call a turkey, the ability to hang tight. I mean, it's just
it's still hunting. Yeah,
it's a lot of, and that's what a lot of folks ask, "Hey, what's the success percent?" I'm like, well, it depends on a lot of factors. Here are the opportunity rates, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into the success of harvesting any animal. So
yeah,
and majority of those are out of my control. So
yeah.
Yep.
No, it's still hunting, still got to put in the work. So
that's right. That's exactly
awesome.
right.
And same contact info if somebody wants to buy land in Mississippi.
Yeah, same phone number. I do have a Facebook page. It's Derek Eaves Small Town Hunting Properties and Real Estate. If you want to go to that page, you can literally type in my tag, which is Derek, DEREK, Eaves, EAVES, Small Town, all one word, and it'll make my page pop up, and you can follow that as well. So yeah,
awesome.
I work hard. I just like the same philosophy for Ridge Rock Hunt Company. At the end of the day, I want people to have a good experience, and communication is at the top of the priority list for any and everything that I do with my clients and customers. So that's the people that I've sold have wanted to do reviews for me for the real estate stuff, and just very thankful for the communication and answering questions, whether it be big or small, or via text, email, whatever the case may be. So communication's key to success with any business in the world, and you better be good at it. And so I just try to do the best I can at that.
That's awesome, man. Well, you're killing it and doing a good job. Keep up the grind.
Yeah. Hustle's all I know, baby.
Good stuff, man. Well,
but
Derek,
this year we're going back to Montana. I also got drawn for Kansas. So I'm trying to figure
awesome.
out how going back to Kansas for whitetail. So I'm trying to figure out how I can squeeze in another hunt. Hadn't quite gotten that figured out yet. So
yeah.
Anyway, I do have some Oklahoma bow hunts that are $2,000, and they have some big deer. So if you know anybody looking, let me know.
That's
not too far.
No, not too far at all. That's pretty good. Right now, I'm going. Right now, my eggs are in an Idaho elk hunt right now that I'm trying to go on. So I got my license, and my buddy put us in for it's with a group hunt. So I think here I gotta text him actually now I think about it, because any day now we're supposed to be finding out if we got drawn or not. So if we do, it'll be a September archery hunt for elk up in Idaho. So
Oh man,
fingers
that'd be
crossed
fun.
I get that one. I'm excited. I've never been elk hunting before. It'll be a first time. So I'm trying to do something new every year, you know.
Heck yeah. Nothing like it. I kind of got a hankering. I want to shoot a bear, but I don't know.
Man, I got the same little hankering, and I've been watching a lot of bear hunting videos lately, which doesn't help. But I'm thinking hard about it, man. Thinking hard about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
See
Me
what
too.
happens.
See how much time we have. How about that?
Yeah, for real. No joke about that. Well, man, it was good to catch up with you. I appreciate you coming back on the show. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure. Well, guys, be sure that you guys go check out everything Derek's got going on his various pages and everything, Small Town and the Ridge Rock. And if you haven't already, be sure you follow and subscribe to Fall Obsession on social media and this podcast. And with that, I will be back with you guys again next week for another episode. Catch you then.